All right, we are now joined by Kyle Busch, driver of the number 18 Interstate Batteries ABC Toyota. Kyle, Charlotte has presented a unique challenge to you. It's one of the two tracks you haven't won at in the Sprint Cup Series. What would it mean to you to get a win, not just to check it off your list, but also to advance to the round of 8?
It would certainly mean a lot. You know, we've been trying here for a long, long time, and we've been close a few times, and it just hasn't all quite worked out the way we would have wanted it to, I guess, at the end of some of these races. So, you know, certainly we feel as though there's no better opportunity to win a Charlotte race than in the chase. It means a lot. It gets you to transfer through to the next round, especially with Talladega looming. So, you know, certainly this weekend would really be enjoyable for that, and to get Interstate Batteries in the all-battery center car to victory lane.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. We'll start with Tom Jensen.
Hi, Kyle. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. 2 questions. How important is it to win one of these 2 races before you go to Talladega? And number 2, how many of the Toyotas you think will make the final 8?
I think that it is important to win here or Kansas if you can, obviously, to get your way into or through Talladega without having to worry. You can go to Talladega, run hard and have fun and do a good job of just trying to focus on winning the race. You know, if you don't win here, obviously it's not the end of the world, or Kansas, if you don't win there, it's not the end of the world. We've proven that you can get through, but it makes your day a heck of a lot easier. You know, 2 years ago we got wrecked out at Talladega trying to mind our own business, and still haven't gotten an apology for that one. And then, of course, last year we were able to do the things that we were able to do and get our way through without winning. We finished pretty well, all things considered. So as far as Toyotas go and being able to have 5 of them in the round of 8, I think there's a great opportunity for that. I think, you know, 2 years ago, obviously us getting eliminated, that was a Toyota being eliminated from the round of 8. Last year, Denny Hamlin had a hatch issue, I believe, and he was eliminated. So there's anything that can happen, and that's why we run these races and run these. You got to run these things all the way to the end.
Additional questions for Kyle? All right, we'll go to Bob Pockrass and then back.
Kyle, last year you kind of let the chase and those races come to you, and things just kind of worked out in your favor up until and then through the win at Homestead. Is it any easier to try to kind of do the same thing again this year, knowing that it worked once?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's obviously times where you feel like you want to push hard and go get a win or go get a better finish than where you're currently running. But, you know, you just got to do what you can in order to let these races kind of fall into place. And sometimes it's just worth, you know, taking the finish that's coming to you and moving on and going to the next one. So, you know, it doesn't always help to push too hard and try to advance yourself. It can also help to just sit back, relax, and finish where you can.
We'll go to the back of the room and then to Nate Ryan and Brian.
Caleb Whistler, Speedway Digest. With Talladega looming in this round, what is your mindset going through the round of 8?
I think it's the same as what we did last year. Just let these races come to us and take the finishes that we can get. You know, we got caught up in a pit road deal here last year and kind of tore up our car a little bit and didn't quite get the finish that we were hoping for in this race. But we went to Kansas and we had a solid outing there. We came out of there with a top 5, I believe, and then we were able to do the same thing at Talladega, finish in the top 5. So, you know, we'd like to think that we can finish better here at Charlotte and finish in the same realm of spots for Kansas and have a good shot of being able to transfer through at Talladega.
All right, we'll go to Nate and then Brian.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Kyle, is over the years, his track position has been magnified along with the competition getting tighter. It seems like pit road mistakes have become more and more magnified. Jimmy Johnson being the most recent example at Dover, where he pretty much didn't have a shot to win after that penalty after he had passed Truex. I guess 2-part question. Like, one, how hard is it harder to make up pit road penalties than ever before, do you think, nowadays? And can you minimize mistakes? Is there a way to, if you're making those mistakes as a driver or as a crew, is there a way to minimize them?
Yeah, I think now it's certainly harder to be able to make up from those mistakes on pit road. It's, you know, there's risk versus reward in everything we do, but pit road, especially with the extra segments and timing zones, you know, we all take advantage of the extra mile an hour that NASCAR gives us, and we use that as what our pit road speed is, rather than kind of a buffer. We actually use that up. So, you know, you just got to come off of that a little bit. You can't push it that hard to the threshold and trying to become the guy who's got the fastest rolling time every weekend. So Jimmy's been really, really good at that. He's probably been one of the best, one of the top 2 or 3 for sure all year long on rolling times. But they also have the most pit road speeding penalties to go along with it throughout the year. So, you know, there's a fine line there, and there's a balance that you've got to be able to withhold and being able to be successful. So, as far, what was the second part? Okay, good talk. Good talk. Rolling time is the distance from when you come in at the yellow line to when you stop in your box, and then when you leave your box to when you get to the yellow line on the exit. It's a new thing that all the teams are kind of looking at is rolling time.
All right, Brian.
Brian Nelson with MRN, Kyle. So you mentioned the philosophy in this round of just taking what comes to you and running the race as you're handed. So I'm curious about with Kansas and going back as the race winner there last year, will you approach it differently? Were you pushing harder back in the spring at Kansas than you expect to be next week? How will it be different for you?
Yeah, I think we were pushing hard in the springtime there, but we were certainly doing our homework as well too. So do the same amount of homework and do the same things in order to make sure that we're just as successful this time around. You know, the car drove really good. It was a night race. This time around it'll be a day race, so there's some differences there. You know, Adam and the guys just being able to work on our car. The track really widened out and gave us opportunities to kind of move around the last time we were there, so I'd expect some of those same tendencies.
All right, we'll go to Chris Knight.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Kyle, with the chase format, you excelled it last season, but your truckers are going through it for the first time. William obviously already has a win, but Christopher going to go to Talladega for elimination race. Have they come to you for advice on what to expect, or have you been a good asset for them for the chase?
Yeah, we've talked in all of our meetings. We have meetings every week after the races at KBM. So we talk in those meetings about what to do, what to expect, how to operate as a team and a company with teammates and stuff like that, and what I expect of those guys. So all those things have been versed with all of them. As far as going into Talladega, what to expect, we haven't quite gone over those sorts of things yet. But obviously with Christopher having the most amount of cushion of anyone besides William there, you know, you just got to be smooth and smart and finish. You know, that's what it's about. You may have a couple cars here or there, trucks that crash out, and they'll obviously push that spot where we would fall if we had a problem higher and higher. So I'd expect that you know, you get 4, 5, 6 trucks that DNF, then obviously that would be where we would be safe in order to follow through the next round. So certainly missed the first big one at least.
Final questions? All right, we'll go to Jessica, Kenny, and Bob.
Jessica Ruffin with NASCAR.com. With the weather potentially being a factor this weekend and you guys potentially having limited practice time and the changing temperature of the track, how are you guys preparing for that?
Well, so far we did most of our race runs here this morning. We unloaded in race trim instead of qualifying trim, and in order to work on some race stuff and kind of get some of that out of the way. Through this practice, we at least used a set of tires in order to concentrate on that. Swapped over to qualifying trim because we do feel like we're going to qualify tonight. There's no weather looming for that, so we needed to make sure that we were going to have a good car for qualifying, and that's pretty much it. You know, if it's a washout tomorrow, we got what we got. We'll just have to go off notes and what we did here in the spring. Obviously, what the 78 did here in the spring, they were really, really good, and so we feel like we got a good baseline to base ourselves off of.
All right, we'll go to Woody Kane.
Hey Kyle, I was just curious with William Byron moving on, what you're looking for next year in the Truck Series and what kind of things you look for to fill that seat.
You know, we look for a few things, but you know, we got Christopher Bell next year already lined up. We've got another driver kind of in the works, and then we'll keep our 51 team as driver of the week program, let's call it, with a few of them in there. So it's coming along. Well, I think we're close to being able to finish some things up and being able to put all that out there. We've talked to a few guys about the opportunity to drive full time in the we'll call it the 9. It'll probably change for next year, but you know, William's done a fantastic job, and so it's going to be tough for anyone to come into that role and fill that void. Obviously, Eric did a really good job the year before. I think Williams actually exceeded those expectations. quite well, so maybe the next guy will be able to do the same thing. We'll see.
All right, Kyle, thanks for joining us, and good luck this weekend.
Cool. Thanks.